The glow of Azura's 3 moons cast long shadows across the council chamber. Once a hall of grandeur and hope, it now stood as a reminder of what they had lost. Elder Moss shuffled forward, his blue skin faded to a pale gray with age. The room fell silent. The power grid in the western sector failed last night, Elder Moss announced, his voice carrying the weight of their collective despair. That makes 5 sectors now operating on emergency reserves. Sky stood at the back of the chamber, clutching her data pad. At 30 cycles, she was young by blue standards, but the past 50 years had aged them all. 50 years since the Star Alliance had deemed their race unworthy and abandoned them to their fate. Our estimates give us 3 seasons before critical systems fail completely, Elder Moss continued. The Council recommends focusing our remaining resources on the core city. Stone, commander of what remained of their defense forces, stood up. And what of the outer settlements? We cannot simply abandon our people. We have no choice, another council member responded. We must consolidate what remains. Sky moved forward, her heart racing. She had waited for this moment. Honored elders, I have detected something. A signal. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Elder Moss raised his hand for silence. Speak, Scientist Sky. Sky connected her data pad to the chamber's projection system. A series of wave patterns appeared in the air. 3 cycles ago, our deep space array captured these transmissions. They originate from the 3rd planet of a yellow star, 20 light jumps from here. Impossible, Stone declared. Our sensors cannot reach that far. Not anymore. The signal is powerful, Sky explained. Unlike anything we've seen. It contains patterns, mathematics, music, language. Signs of intelligent life. Elder Moss studied the projection. Even if true, what does this matter? The Star Alliance abandoned us. No help will come. This isn't from the Star Alliance, Sky said, her voice rising with excitement. This is a species unknown to us. One the Alliance never mentioned. One that might be willing to help. The chamber filled with doubtful whispers. The Star Alliance had been clear, no species worthy of contact existed beyond their collective. That was the central belief that held the Alliance together. Those deemed unworthy were abandoned, just as the Blues had been. We have 1 ship capable of the journey, Sky continued. We could send a small team. Make contact. And waste our last functional ship on a desperate gamble, asked a council member. We need those resources here. Stone stepped forward. I support Scientist Sky's proposal. The chamber fell silent again. Stone rarely spoke in council, and never to support such risks. Commander? Elder Moss questioned. We are dying here, Stone said simply. Slowly, but surely. If there is even the smallest chance of finding help, we must take it. Elder Moss closed his eyes, considering. The weight of leadership had bent his once tall frame. The cost would be enormous. Fuel cells, our last jump drive. The cost of doing nothing is extinction, Sky replied softly. For 3 hours, the council debated. Voices grew heated, then resigned, then hopeful in turns. Sky stood firm, answering questions about the signal, the strange planet it came from, the risks of the journey. Finally, Elder Moss raised his hand. We will put it to a vote. One by one, the council members cast their votes. When the final tally appeared, Sky could hardly believe it. By a margin of 1, her mission was approved. Prepare your team, Elder Moss told her. You will have our last ship, our last jump drive, and our last hope. 3 days later, Sky stood at the launch bay with her small crew. Stone had insisted on joining them, a final mission for a soldier with nothing left to protect. 2 other scientists and a pilot completed the team. Their ship, once a glorious vessel of exploration, now showed the marks of desperate repairs and salvaged parts. It would make the journey, but little more. As Skye boarded, Elder Moss approached. He handed her a small crystal, glowing faintly blue. "Our history," he explained. "Everything we were, everything we know. In case we will return," Skye promised. "Find help if you can," Elder Moss replied. "But more important, find a place where our people might live again with dignity." The ship's engines rumbled to life, straining against their own fatigue. Skye looked out the viewport as they rose slowly from the surface. Below, the once great cities of Azura stretched out, dark sectors spreading like disease across their civilization. The ship broke atmosphere, and Skye set her gaze toward the distant yellow star and its third planet, a place called Earth. Tom yawned as he stared at the monitor. 3 months working the night shift at the Mountain Radio Observatory, and the patterns were always the same. Stars, pulsars, background radiation, the steady hum of a universe that seemed determined to keep its secrets. Until tonight. The pattern appeared first as a slight anomaly in the data stream. Tom might have missed it if he hadn't been switching between frequency bands. He adjusted the settings, refocused the dish. There it was again. A sequence. Mathematical. Deliberate. He reached for his phone with shaking hands. "Director Reed? You need to see this." 2 days later, the observatory buzzed with activity. Government officials, military personnel, and scientists crowded around Tom's workstation. "The pattern repeats every 14 minutes, Tom explained. "It's a prime number sequence followed by what appears to be coordinates. Someone is trying to get our attention." Director Reed frowned. "And you're certain this isn't terrestrial? The signal is coming from just beyond Mars' orbit and moving toward us." The words hung in the air. Something was coming. In the damaged ship, Skye monitored Earth's communications. Their journey had been harder than expected. The jump drive had failed after the third jump, forcing them to limp through normal space for the final approach. "They've detected us," Skye announced to her crew. Stone looked up from the navigation console. "Are they sending ships? Weapons? Communications only?" "They're cautious, but curious." Skye studied the incoming transmissions. "Their technology is primitive compared to ours, but their mathematical understanding is sound." The pilot, Leaf, called from the front. "Life support is failing in sections 3 and 4. We have 2 days of oxygen at most." Skye made a decision. "Send the greeting package. Full transmission." Stone looked concerned. "If they're hostile, we have no choice," Skye interrupted. "We either make contact now or die in space." On Earth, global leaders gathered in an emergency session as news of the alien transmission spread. Public reaction ranged from celebration to panic. Tom worked through the night with a team of linguists and mathematicians, decoding the alien message. "It's a first contact protocol," he explained to Director Reed. "Similar to what we would send, mathematical constants, simple atomic structures, biological information." "Are they hostile?" General White demanded. Tom shook his head. "Their message includes images of their planet, their people. They call themselves the Blues. And..." He hesitated, "they're asking for help." Director Reed looked thoughtful. "Help with what?" Before Tom could answer, an aide rushed in. "The alien ship has entered Earth orbit, but it's showing signs of severe damage." On screens worldwide, people watched as the first confirmed alien vessel appeared in Earth's skies, not as conquerors, but as refugees. Tom stared at the final decoded message. "They're dying," he whispered. "We can't maintain orbit," Leaf announced, her blue fingers dancing across failing controls. Warning lights flashed across the ship's bridge. Engine core destabilizing. Sky exchanged glances with Stone. They had come too far to die now. Any response from Earth? Stone asked. Sky nodded. They're transmitting landing coordinates. A remote area, minimal population. It could be a trap, Stone warned. Or salvation, Sky countered. We have no choice. Decision made, Sky opened a channel to Earth. We accept your landing coordinates. Our ship is failing. We come in peace and need assistance. On Earth, a remote desert area had been hastily converted into a landing zone. Medical teams in containment suits stood ready alongside military personnel. Dr. Green, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, checked her equipment one final time. Remember, we have no idea what their biology requires. Be prepared for anything. Tom stood nearby, still processing that his discovery had led to this moment. Their transmissions indicated their atmospheric needs are similar to ours. Slightly higher oxygen content. General White paced nervously. If this goes wrong, it won't, Director Reed interrupted. This is first contact. Let's make it count. A thunderous roar filled the sky. All eyes turned upward as the alien ship broke through the clouds, trailing smoke and debris. They're coming in too fast, someone shouted. The ship's trajectory wobbled. It was clear they had little control. At the last moment, emergency thrusters fired, slowing their descent just enough to prevent catastrophe. The impact still shook the ground. Dust clouds billowed as emergency teams rushed forward. Inside the crippled ship, Sky regained consciousness. Smoke filled the cabin. Through cracked viewports, she saw figures approaching, bipedal, like her people, but different. Status, she called out, coughing. Stone appeared through the haze, bleeding from a head wound. Leaf didn't make it. The others are injured. The ship's hull groaned. We need to evacuate, Sky said. Help me with the door. Together, they forced open the damaged hatch. Fresh air rushed in, breathable, but strange. Sky took a cautious step toward the opening. Outside stood creatures with varied skin tones, pinks, browns, tans, so different from the blue's uniform blue coloration. They wore protective suits and carried equipment. Sky stepped forward, raising her hands in the universal gesture of peace. Behind her, Stone supported an injured crew member. One human stepped forward, removing their helmet. Female, Sky guessed, based on their transmissions about their species. I'm Dr. Green, the human said slowly. We're here to help you. Sky touched her translation device. I am Sky, Chief Scientist of Azura. We seek refuge. Dr. Green nodded and gestured to the medical teams. You're safe now. As humans rushed to assist the injured aliens, Sky looked back at their ruined ship, their last connection to their dying world. Then she looked at these strange humans, rushing to help beings they'd never met. Perhaps there was hope after all. 1 month after the landing, the temporary alien facility bustled with activity. Humans and blues worked side by side, curiosity gradually replacing fear on both sides. Professor Hill, a linguist with wild gray hair and endless enthusiasm, had developed a more sophisticated translation system. He sat with Rock, a blue engineer who had been on a supply run when Sky's mission launched. Your language has no word for impossible, Professor Hill noted. Rock adjusted a component in the Earth device before him. The Star Alliance eliminated that concept from our thinking. To advance, one must see all things as possible. Nearby, Sky studied a model of Earth's first space rocket. You reached orbit with this? Tom nodded. Not very efficiently, but we managed. Without alien assistance, Sky marveled. The Alliance told us all emerging races needed guidance. We're stubborn, Tom grinned. When something doesn't work, we try again differently. This concept fascinated Sky. The Blues had always advanced through careful, logical progression. Humans leapt forward through trial and error, often making intuitive connections that defied linear thinking. In the medical wing, Dr. Green reviewed her findings with Director Reed. Their biology is remarkably compatible with Earth. Different base proteins, but similar cellular structures. And the damaged lungs? Reed asked. Responding to treatment. Their air on Azura was similar to ours, but with trace elements we don't have. We've synthesized a supplement. Reed nodded thoughtfully. The Security Council meets tomorrow. They'll want your assessment of any risks. The only risk, Dr. Green replied firmly, is missing this opportunity. These people have technology centuries beyond ours, yet they're here asking for our help. In the recreation area, Sky watched a human family visiting one of the scientists. A small child blew out candles on a cake while everyone clapped. A birth celebration, Tom explained, joining her. We call it a birthday. You celebrate each orbit? Sky asked, surprised. We only mark significant cycle completions. Humans will find any excuse to celebrate, Tom laughed. Sky watched the child's delight at opening presents. The Star Alliance saw emotion as inefficient. They believed advanced species should evolve beyond such displays. Sounds boring, Tom commented. Sky found herself agreeing. After years of suppressing emotions to emulate the Alliance's cold efficiency, the human capacity for joy was refreshing. Later, in a secure communication room, Sky spoke with Elder Moss through a tenuous connection to Azura. The humans are unexpected, she reported. Their technology is primitive, but their thinking is not. They accomplished space flight without guidance. And will they help us? Elder Moss asked, his image flickering. Sky thought of the birthday celebration, the doctors working tirelessly to treat blue patients, the engineers eager to learn and share. Yes, she answered confidently. They already are. As the transmission ended, Sky realized something profound had changed within her. For the first time since the Alliance abandoned them, she felt more than just hope. She felt at home. The alarm blared through the facility at midnight. Sky rushed to the command center where humans and Blues gathered around monitoring equipment. Unidentified object entering the atmosphere, a technician reported. Tom pointed to the trajectory displayed on screen. Too controlled for a meteor. And too small for a ship, Sky added, studying the data. Her face paled. It's an escape pod. One of ours. Within the hour, a recovery team returned with the pod. Inside was a single Blue, barely conscious. Dust, a junior technician from Azura's orbital station. In the medical wing, Dr. Green stabilized the newcomer while Sky and Stone waited anxiously. Finally, Dust opened his eyes. Scientist Sky, he whispered. I found you. How? Stone demanded. Why? Elder Moss sent me. After your last transmission. Dust coughed. The Star Alliance returned. Sky felt her heart's race. To Azura? Why? Your ship's energy signature. They detected it leaving our system. Dust struggled to sit up. They know you found something. They're coming here. President Clark, a stern woman with decades of diplomatic experience, addressed the Emergency Council from Washington. On screens around her were leaders from every major nation. How long do we have? She asked. Director Reed consulted with Sky before answering. Based on the information from Dust, 2 months at most. And these Alliance people, the Russian president asked, they are hostile? Sky stepped forward. Not in the conventional sense. The Star Alliance doesn't wage war. They judge. Species deemed worthy are invited to join. Those deemed unworthy are abandoned. Like your people, President Clark noted. Sky nodded. Our crime was inefficiency. We focused too much on art, philosophy, family bonds. The Alliance values only technological advancement and resource utilization. The Chinese premier spoke next. What would they think of humans? An uncomfortable silence followed. They would find us chaotic, Stone answered finally. Unpredictable. Wasteful. Emotional. Unworthy, Sky added quietly. So we hide you, someone suggested. Deny any contact. Sky shook her head. They'll know. Their scanners will detect blue biology. They'll see our ship. Then we stand together, President Clark declared, surprising everyone. We won't abandon you as they did. After the meeting, Tom found Sky staring at the night sky. Your people are taking an enormous risk, Sky said. The Alliance could cut Earth off from all galactic knowledge. Knowledge without compassion isn't worth having, Tom replied. Sky turned to him. The Alliance believes emotions make a species weak. Tom smiled. Maybe that's why they're so afraid of them. In the following weeks, Earth prepared. Blues shared defensive technology while humans offered creative strategies the Alliance might never anticipate. Stone worked with military leaders, impressed by their adaptability. The Alliance expects logical responses, he explained. Human unpredictability is an advantage. As the deadline approached, Sky received a message from Elder Moss, Alliance scout ships entering our system. Be ready. That night, Earth's new deep space sensors detected the first Star Alliance vessels approaching the solar system. The judgment was coming. The Star Alliance ship descended like a gleaming dagger, impossibly smooth and 3 times larger than anything humans had built. It landed at the designated site, surrounded by representatives from Earth and their blue allies. Ambassador Glow emerged, tall and silver-skinned with eyes that seemed to calculate everything they saw. 2 guards flanked him, their expressions empty of emotion. You harbor fugitives, Glow stated without greeting. His voice translated perfectly through Earth's atmosphere. President Clark stepped forward. We offer sanctuary to refugees. An ancient human tradition. Glow's eyes narrowed. The Blues were deemed unworthy of Alliance membership. Their developmental path was inefficient. Yet they developed faster than light travel, Tom pointed out. Under our guidance, Glow countered. Without which they would have remained primitive, like your species. Sky moved to stand beside President Clark. We've learned more from humans in months than from the Alliance in generations. Impossible, Glow dismissed. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Technology isn't everything, Sky replied. Humans create, adapt, feel. They solve problems in ways the Alliance never considered. Glow studied the humans with growing disdain. We came to evaluate your potential. I see none. He turned to his guards. Prepare departure protocols. Both species are unworthy. Wait, President Clark commanded with unexpected authority. Before you leave, witness what unworthy species can accomplish together. At her signal, screens activated around the landing zone. They showed Earth's first blue-human hybrid ship rising from a hidden facility, utilizing principles the Alliance had never combined. Impressive engineering, Glow admitted reluctantly. But it changes nothing. The Alliance has standards. Keep your standards, Stone said. And your Alliance. Glow seemed genuinely puzzled. Without Alliance membership, you will develop in isolation. You will receive no guidance, no protection. President Clark smiled. We'll find our own way among the stars. With allies we choose, Sky added, not ones who judge us worthy. For a moment, something like uncertainty crossed Glow's face, an emotion so foreign to Alliance representatives that Sky almost didn't recognize it. "This decision is final," Glow stated, recovering his composure. "You will be marked as non-contact species." As Glow returned to his ship, Tom turned to Sky. "What does that mean?" "It means," Sky explained, watching the Alliance ship depart, "we're free." 5 years passed since the Alliance departed Earth. What they had intended as punishment had instead become liberation. Sky stood on the observation deck of Earth's first deep space colony ship, watching stars streak by. The hybrid vessel combined blue theoretical knowledge with human intuitive engineering, creating something neither species could have built alone. "We're approaching Azura," Tom announced, joining her. Now the mission commander, he had helped coordinate the rescue operation from the beginning. Sky nodded, emotion tightening her throat. "The last transmission said 2,000 survivors. More than we hoped." On the deck below, human and blue crew worked seamlessly together. Among them played Cloud, a young blue child born on Earth, the first of a new generation. Her skin was a brighter blue than the adults, perhaps from Earth's different sunlight or diet. She laughed freely, something adult blues were only now learning to do again. "Alliance observers still monitoring?" Sky asked. "At the edge of the system," Tom confirmed. "They seem confused by our progress." Sky smiled. "They didn't account for human stubbornness. Or blue wisdom," Tom added. Reports from Alliance space suggested their encounter had caused ripples. Several member species had begun questioning the worthiness doctrine after witnessing human-blue cooperation. A few had even sent discreet communications, interested in what Sky now called the third path, neither Alliance membership nor abandonment, but partnership. The ship's comms activated. Azura in visual range. On the main screen, the blue planet appeared, still beautiful despite its darkened cities and failing infrastructure. Already, transport ships were preparing to dock with the colony vessel, ready to evacuate the remaining blues to their new home on Earth. Stone, now fleet commander, appeared on screen. "Advance teams report all is ready. The crystal archives are intact." "And Elder Moss?" Sky asked anxiously. Stone smiled, something he'd learned from humans. "Waiting to speak with you." Later, as shuttles began transferring refugees, Sky stood with Tom and Cloud in the communication bay. On screen, Elder Moss appeared, far friendlier than when Sky had left, but his eyes bright with hope. "You did it," he said simply. Sky placed her hand on Cloud's shoulder. "We found more than help," she replied. "We found a new beginning." As Azura survivors boarded, they brought not just themselves but their culture, art, and knowledge, treasures the Alliance had deemed inefficient. On Earth, these would find new value, blending with human creativity to forge something entirely new. Not abandoned, but reborn among the stars.